Okay, guys, let's talk about the West. The top teams, you know how this goes. I think we're going to start with OKC because I haven't talked about them in a minute. The only real questions with the Thunder at this point is the scoring in the half court by everybody who is not SGA and J-Dub's health. And so you look at some of these recent games and they've just gotten contributions from whoever it needs to be. Like in the Knicks game, 3 huge mid-range jumpers from Chet in that fourth quarter over, I think it was OG, McHale, and Brunson. And 28 versus a Knicks defense that has been really good for a while now. I know Knicks fans were complaining like crazy about the refs in that one. We go to their win versus the Nuggets, where SGA didn't even play in the fourth quarter, and where they just torched the Nuggets in transition bucket after bucket. But before that overtime, we had the Jared McCain stretch of either big threes or him and Isaiah Joe just constantly moving off the ball, driving and kicking, whatever, or him making like a pull-up on Jokic. And then also so many plays in that game to get back to Chet where SGA just putting Jokic in the screen action and then causing the Nuggets to rotate on the back line. Chet, he just found the opening, whether it was a driving kick, a cut, a lob from iHeart. We'll talk the Nuggets some. Big Jalen Williams has also just been giving him either shooting or being a bit of a hub around the three-point line for him as well. The biggest example of that being the one versus the Bulls. We don't have to go too much into the Bulls win, but basically Kaysen and McCain, wherever they wanted to get to on the floor, they were going to do it off the dribble mostly. Although, yes, should be said, Kaysen also just having more scoring moments as well. And so, look, J-Dub has been out, and conventional wisdom just tells us in the history of the NBA, you're going to need the second guy to average 20-something a game going into the playoffs. And we already did all of our questions about J-Dub before last playoffs. And it would also help if A.J. Mitchell was healthy for another creator. But if there was ever going to be a team that was going to win the title off of one amazing scorer, and then every night it's got to be somebody else with, I guess you could say Chet is the second option, it would be these guys because this defense is going to be great. It feels like no matter who's actually missing games. But with J-Dub, I mean, the last game he played was against the Suns, and he made all of his signature, like, very aggressive drives that become fadeaway twos. So you got that, but also for specific matchups, especially the Spurs one, we've seen that their offense can sometimes just kind of fall apart in the half court, and, well, we'll see if we get that matchup. And we can get to the Spurs now. So they just had an unbelievable comeback versus the Clippers. We'll get to that in a second. Shout out Carter Bryant. But it feels like every couple of weeks there's a new big picture convo happening with the Spurs. Like for a minute there, it was, can Stephon Castle make shots, even if the energy and the defense is always going to be good and the passing's improving. And then lately, it has been more about De'Aaron Fox, where he's got this big contract, but again, Spurs trying to develop Castle more as a playmaker. You got to give Dylan Harper his opportunities, and also Wemby is the main guy, even if some nights he's going to play like 28 minutes, right? And so sometimes it felt like De'Aaron Fox was just kind of part of the team, but not really standing out any which way. And the biggest example of it was their loss to the Knicks, where I don't think he brought the ball up court until about 4 minutes into the game, because it was Castle before that. And he only took one shot at the basket all game, no free throws, and just all jumpers around that. And it was just kind of a weird moment, right? And then there was the Pistons game, which they did win, but he missed a bunch of shots in the paint. The one from a couple weeks ago, not the one they just played. He was much better in the second one. Anyway, basically, I think it's been a bit of a balancing act with Fox and the Spurs of like giving Fox his opportunities and also still developing the team and all that. And when it comes to the playoffs, there comes a moment with every team where you have to be comfortable with abandoning some of the stuff that you did all regular season for the sake of just winning that game. And I've already done this enough with what Wemby's minutes are going to be in the playoffs, but also it's going to be, does it have to become like De'Aaron Fox takeover mode? Even if that might mean, hey, Stephon Castle, you got to stand in the corner a bit more than you did in a random game in February. I don't know. But the downhill stuff is still in there. I mean, look, in their comeback they just had against the Clippers, like, I mean, Champagny kind of woke him up in the third with a bunch of threes, but in the fourth quarter, like, Fox had, I think, 4 or 5 straight plays of somebody screen for me, and I'm just getting downhill. It was like Cornet or Vassell, and then we just had an incredible fourth quarter of, man, Carter Bryant was everywhere on defense. I mean, sometimes he's on Kawhi, sometimes he's denying Kawhi off the ball, sometimes he's on Brook, sometimes he's trying to steal it on Kawhi and then closing out like a madman onto Jordan Miller. He's all over Chris Dunn, but then he steals the pass that Chris Dunn's trying to make because he thought that he was clear of Carter Bryant. It was crazy. And also Fox made some tough jumpers, and I mean, Wemby's doubling Kawhi one possession with Castle, and next possession he's blocking Chris Dunn. You know, normal Wemby stuff. It was a great game. And Batum was out of bounds. Should be said, Wemby played 39 minutes in the game they had 2 games ago against the Pistons. 34 against the Knicks, 36 in the other Pistons game. I think this is Mitch Johnson seeing like where Wemby can really go with the minutes right now, because we're going to really learn in about a month and a half. Next up, the T-Wolves. So as I do this, they just lost by nearly 30 to the Magic. In general, they've been winning a lot lately, but they will always have their random bad games. It's just felt like the only things the Wolves were really missing was one more guy. They got Io. They also got slow-mo back. And just don't lose focus, play down to competition, whatever wording you want to use. I mean, didn't Gobert have a thing in the locker room not long ago where he was just like, yeah, we just have to play harder or something? Anyway, their recent game against the Nuggets, the thing that was the biggest thing for me was Jaden going 9 for 12, and he was mostly just scoring on Strother, Murray, Hardaway Jr., or Cam Johnson, and it kind of struck me, like this is obvious, but it really struck me in this game. If Jaden is working off the dribble and is a real threat to score and isn't just a stand in the corner guy, it really hurts the Nuggets more than a lot of teams because they just only have so many defenders. I mean, Gordon just came back, and he didn't play in the Wolves game. Obviously, he makes a huge difference there, but even if it's Gordon and Christian Brown and Bruce Brown out there, it's still like, look, somebody's got to be on Ant, somebody's got to be on Randall. This is Jaden's opportunity to cook, and he keeps getting a little better on offense every year. Now, he just scored like 3 points against the Magic. I don't know. Again, they're going to have their random bad games. Besides that, for the Wolves, so they had a recent win against the Raptors, where in the third quarter, there were 3 buckets that really stood out to me. One was Randall double-teamed in the post to Ant for a 3, 1 pass away, good stuff. Any sort of Ant catch and shoots, operate off the catch, great. 1 IO 3 off of Ant getting doubled, perfect pocket pass. And then 1 was actually Jaden and Gobert running a screen, which became a Dante 3. So Ant didn't have to create everything, and Randall didn't have to like bully his way through the whole defense. If they can just get some amount of plays per game that resemble those types of plays, it's good stuff. And also Gobert was like 7 for 8. That's great. I want to consider the Wolves a no-doubt contender, and I'm hoping over these last 20-something games, they make it very easy to believe that. Now for the Rockets. You know, the Rockets and the Nuggets, part of me feels like a broken record, because you know what I'm going to say. For the Rockets, it's going to be half-court offense in the fourth quarter, and for the Nuggets, it's going to be defense. And the Lakers are here too. We'll talk Lakers. I have an advanced stat for you from inpredictable.com. It's a pretty good website. So, since January 19th, which is the day after Steven Adams played his last game for them, the Rockets are 17th in points per possession on plays after the other team makes a shot. I should point out the Wolves are actually a little lower than them. So besides scoring 15 points in the fourth quarter against the Knicks, which, by the way, again, the Knicks defense, like we'll talk about in another video, they had a recent one against the Heat where in the fourth, I mean, I'm seeing Şengün miss around the basket versus Bam or Khalil Ware. We got possessions where either the ball's not moving much or it ends up back in KD's hands with like 7 seconds left, or, I mean, Miami was running a zone there and they just couldn't really find driving lanes. We had a play where KD and Şengün ran a screen and then KD drove into the exact spot that Şengün parked himself at afterwards. So I was like, oh boy. I don't want to be too negative. This is the 4th seed in a very tough West. Anyway, now for the Nuggets. Did somebody curse the Nuggets? They finally were going to have their whole team. Gordon came back, and now Jamal Murray rolled his ankle, and as of right now, we're waiting. And they lost by 40 to the Knicks. If you're looking for a defense update, I mean, I've already talked about some of their stuff in the Wolves and Thunder games. There was also a Jazz game in there where Keontae went nuts on contested jumpers. They also killed the Nuggets in transition. Like this one play of Isaiah Collier just turning on the Jets with the ball and beating them down the floor. Conchar got a couple of transition threes, one because Murray wasn't back, another one Jokic wasn't back. I shouldn't say the whole team. Watson is still out. I mean, if the last leg of the regular season version of the Nuggets is going to be Jokic and as many defenders and athletes as we can put on the floor besides Watson, so actually not the most we can do, but almost the most we can do, with Gordon, Christian Brown, Bruce Brown. And then for the other offense, I mean, you're hoping for a Hardaway heater or Valanciunas to just kill a bench lineup, although Valanciunas versus the best teams, like in the playoffs, that could be dicey, but Jokic is also going to play more. They should be able to be fine until the playoffs. But for all the talk about the Lakers this year, I mean, they're only a half game behind the Nuggets right now. Don't know what to expect from Cam Johnson in the playoffs. Jokic, of course, he's amazing. I'm just wondering in the playoffs, how many random games are there going to be of him just wanting to take threes? Because it happens like once every 4 games now, it feels like. They're very scary if they can get fully healthy. We all know that. And now we can go into the Lakers. There was a lot of talk about the Lakers the last couple weeks, like more so than normal. They are about to play some pretty real games here between the Knicks, Wolves, Nuggets, Rockets back-to-back, Pistons. I mean, if Marcus would have made a couple of those shots late that the Nuggets were giving him, then perhaps the Lakers win that game. But pretty much, I think the Lakers are just an average team with one of the best players in the league, so therefore their record is better than they actually are. It doesn't mean there aren't some valid criticisms you could throw at Luka. Of course there are, even if some of them went way overboard over the last couple weeks. And maybe I shouldn't just default to big picture feelings with this team. But I feel like the Lakers have got to be towards the top of the list for potential teams to make a trade a bunch of picks for one guy type of deal in the offseason. I'm not saying they're definitely going to do it, and they have other things they got to deal with too, but we did already see them try to trade multiple picks for Mark Williams. I shouldn't be talking about the offseason this heavy, like this is a playoff team, but I don't know. That's where I default to with them. Shout out LeBron, still my GOAT. Still love watching him. Actually, let's talk the Suns a little bit. I don't want to be disrespectful to the Suns and not have them in the video at all. I think Jalen Green is one of the more interesting guys the rest of this season. I mean, look, man, we might just be doing this forever with Green, where we're just, is it the roller coaster, or is he actually just going to get consistent? But this team did not fall apart in the games without Book, and they've got very little assets to make moves, and so if they're going to attempt to keep climbing up here, it's going to have to be from Jalen Green. Yeah, we all know what's going on with Dylan Brooks right now, and I know Gillespie can give you the random big game, and Grayson has been scoring some lately, but really it's going to be Jalen Green that determines if this whole thing that has been a successful season, no doubt, goes to another level. Well, the Warriors, there's not much to do here. Like, Steph isn't playing. There you go. And then for the Clippers, I mean, we've had Mathurin go crazy in some games. We've had him miss a whole bunch of shots. We've had Garland play 2, not play any. Maybe he's playing tonight versus the Grizzlies. I haven't checked. Niederhauser getting hurt. That hurts. And even with all that said, I think they can still just kind of float around. Perhaps be about 500 the rest of the season, and you get Kawhi in a play-in game, who knows? Anyway, that's about it. You guys play Slay the Spire 2 yet? It's really good.